Hey, Renaissance Swagger. I want to talk to you about why I did two recordings of Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. And I want to talk to you about the music. But hang with me, I promise it won't be boring. It's going to be more akin to a conversation around movie special effects than it is music theory. So hang with me. And if you didn't take music appreciation in college, now's your opportunity. But seriously, I think you'll get a lot out of it. But let me say this first. I didn't like my first recording of this song. I don't feel that I was as focused. I was in a bit of a hurry, and I just wasn't in the zone as much as I would have liked to have been, or in the moment, or feeling the music. Take your pick. And so I did a re-recording of it. Now, I will note, in the process of performing music, it's not perfect. It's extremely imperfect, actually. And so that's important to call out, I think, and to talk about. When we're on the internet and we see all these videos on YouTube or Facebook or, pick your poison, everything seems so perfect. And now we've got AI to deal with, and that's making things more perfect. But when you're performing music or whatever your art is, you're doing a painting, it's an imperfect process. There's going to be flaws, there's going to be redos, and that's what makes it art. That's what makes it special. Some of my best performances, actually, I hit a note or a chord that wasn't supposed to be there, but it just so happened to land in a way that it made it sound better, even though it's not even correct to the composition. Sometimes that happens. That's what makes it human, and that's what makes it special. And so in this case, I decided to do a re-recording. And that bridges me into my conversation about this piece and some of the challenges with this piece. So you may have noticed that the first recording was with the lid open, and this one was with the lid closed. That is going to play in very heavily here. This song was not meant to be played on the piano. It was written for the orchestra as a movie score. And if you've ever heard other piano arrangements of movie scores, sometimes they can be pretty rough. Typically, it's pretty challenging to get it right or make it convincing if it wasn't intended to be played on the piano. Now, that's not always true, and sometimes you get some really good stuff. But in the case of this song, I think this is one of those where it was really challenging to put to paper in such a way that you could play it on the piano and do the song justice. Now, I will give the arranger of this, who was, by the way, was kind enough to give me permission to play it on my YouTube channel. He did a very great job of arranging this song for the piano. This particular song faces a unique challenge that the orchestra poses, which might be one of the few things that you can't do on a piano, but you can with an orchestra, and that is get louder after you hit a note. I'm going to use one example. So the opening theme notes, when the orchestra play those, they actually get louder. They get bigger, and it's part of the reason why the song has this victorious, feeling about it. This feeling of triumph is that you hear the brass section just getting louder and growing. When you hit notes on a piano, they start to fade away immediately. There's nothing I can do about it. Play it loud, play it soft, play it with the pedal. They immediately start to fade away. And that poses a bit of a challenge for this song because so much of the song is baked on that concept. So, one of the tricks that I decided to pull, if you will, was closing the lid. Now, normally I don't like to play with the lid closed. I like it with the lid open because for obvious reasons you can hear more of the piano, you get a just overall better sound. It's meant to be played with the lid open, obviously, without getting into a conversation about acoustics, no duh. But this might be one of those few instances where there's an argument for it. I can't make the notes get louder, but what I can do is close the lid and trap all that sound in the piano. And what that does is it creates texture, and it starts to layer and create volume. And even though it's not getting louder like the orchestra, it is building, in a sense, all this volume, and it gives that sensation of the music getting louder. And so I thought, hey, since I'm doing a second recording, why not go ahead and experiment and try to get more of that orchestra out of the piano? I would invite you to listen to both recordings and come up with your own opinion. Let me know if you agree or disagree with that. Maybe you think it sounds better with the lid open still. An honorable mention with this composition, by the way, it evokes so much imagery. For example, the opening notes, that immediately puts you to mind of a horse galloping, or if you've seen the movie, perhaps you think of Robin, Kevin Costner playing Robin Hood, swinging, in the trees, running through Sherwood Forest, pulling an arrow out. And throughout the entire piece, that's what you get. You get this sensation of various things, like running through a forest. There's another very iconic section of the song you may recognize, of course. It's if I don't know, if that's not a horse galloping, I don't know what is. So really a lot of thought, I think, went into the original orchestration of this to evoke various feelings and scenes that you see in the movie. And it's really nifty to sit down and play something like this on the piano and try to recreate those feelings and evoke those sensations. And it's a challenge, and it's a challenge that I really like. So I hope you really enjoyed the second recording of this. I hope you enjoyed this conversation. You got something out of it. Let me know your thoughts. I know that these types of things are definitely open for discussion. So if you agree with me, disagree, I don't care. Let me know. And please, it helps me so much. If you are enjoying my channel, please subscribe. Or if you don't want to subscribe, just give me a thumbs up or even a thumbs down if you feel like it, or comment. All those things are helpful, and I appreciate you. So thanks so much. Have a great day.